So in this video, we're going to be learning one of Riven's most important lane trading combos that has little to no counterplay in certain matchups. So the way you do this combo is it looks something like this. So what I did is I'll do it one more time. I pressed Q, stun, auto-tacked EQ away. Okay. And the point of this combo is it's in certain matchups. If your enemy laner is going for CS or if they're just stationary and you're in range for this, you can Q, stun, auto-attack, EQ away. And they don't have a reply to this in certain matchups. Because if you take a look here, I engage with Q, I stun them. Okay? And then I get an auto attack, and then when they're trying to, if they want to try to trade back, I can disengage with my EQ. I create this distance between us, and I leave the trade with a shield. Okay, so if this is against a champion like Shen, or maybe something like I don't know, a champion that doesn't have any cooldowns, they just use their cooldowns. Like a Renekton, if he just uses dashes and his stun, this combo is definitely playable because you can just do this. They can't auto you. You create this distance between each other, and you can't. There's nothing they can do about this. And against someone like Shen, if you see him going for CS, you can do this, and then you create this distance, and then there's not enough room for him. There's not enough. He's not in taunt range anymore. He cannot taunt you. And this is true against a lot of tanks. Maybe something like Nautilus. If both of you guys are in minions and you walk up, do this, and then EQ away, his hook will not be able to catch you. Okay. So with this in mind, so let's first explain how you do this combo. Speed is definitely key. You need to do this as fast as you can, so that way they cannot trade back. So the way I do this is I put my cursor over them. Or you can even put your cursor. No, it doesn't matter. You can just put your cursor on them. You Q in the direction and make sure that your Q will hit. And then immediately as I'm queuing, I'm spamming W. Okay, so that way I buffer my W and it will go off as soon as it can. And then after my W, I input the auto. As soon as I see the auto go in, I press EQ at the same time. Right? Okay, so it looks something like this. So once again I Q. Spam W, auto attack, then EQ away. Okay, so it looks something like this: Q, stun, auto EQ away. Okay, so with this combo, so we already know when to use it. It's when you're trading against someone that doesn't have an ability to trade back because you create this essential distance from between you guys. So one more thing with this combo is when you're doing it. Okay, so the purpose of this combo is defeated if you do it wrong. And so if you're not hovering them, you accidentally might go through them like this. And if you try to EQ, look at that. There's very little distance created because when I Q forward, I want to make sure that my cursor's on them, so that way I don't go through them, and then I can still get this nice gap. And similarly, when I'm doing this, I want to make sure that when I move to the side to auto, I don't go that way. I go back or to the left or diagonally, so that way I don't accidentally make it harder for me to disengage. Because the whole point of this combo is to disengage, to hit your opponent 3 times and then disengage as fast as you can. So it's very important to make sure that you do it properly and you don't accidentally go forward. As you can see, when I Q stun, I click back when I stun, so that way I don't go forward. So like if I do this wrong, I go forward like that, and then I'm in them, and then I have to EQ like that, and it's ugly. So make sure that you Q stun, auto EQ like that, and that way you create as much distance as you can. Okay, so with that being said, so there are some factors with this combo. Okay, so in certain matchups you cannot do this if they have their cooldown. So like against a Renekton. If you try doing this against a Renekton in the middle of the lane, and you do this combo, and then you Q away, he's the option of pressing E twice, and then stunning you up, and then getting a nice trade onto you. And you are helpless because the only thing you have left is third Q, and your other abilities are off of cooldown, or on cooldown. So you can't do this. You have to make sure you're doing this in a matchup where this is playable. Okay, and otherwise, if you don't, you will get punished heavily for this. Now, something about this is if you're under tower, This combo is always available to you if they're in range because you can Q stun auto, EQ away, and then you're under tower, and they can't follow up with a trait. So that's fine when you're under tower. But if you're in the middle of the lane, then make sure you're doing this against the right champion. So you have to just try to think through when you're playing against your enemy. You have to make sure that you think about what the enemy champion has, what their kit is, whether or not you can perform this. For example, you cannot do this on a champion like Ornn because he has the ability to get out of your stun with his I'm not sure what ability is it. His Q, I don't know. Where he gets the shield and it breaks CC. You can't do this against Ornn because he could break the CC and then get a nice trade onto you, and then your disengage is worthless because you already take a bunch of damage. Another champion that you can do this on is Jax, because the way it works is you can do that, and then now you have your third Q. So if he jumps on you, you can disengage with your third Q, and then you're out of range of him. But other than that, like I said, it's all about thinking through of what champion you're against and what they have at their disposal, what their kit is, and making sure you're not just doing this to suicide. And this combo is so, like I said, frustrating to play against because if you're the wrong champion, and you just keep doing this against the same, you just keep doing that the entire time until they're low. They don't have any counterplay. There's nothing they can do, and it's very frustrating because there's literally no counterplay. That's in some matchups, that's why Riven just wins, because she can just do this over and over and over again. And there's nothing there that any opponent can do, and you just do this until they're low enough to where you can ult and all in them. But yeah, that's just about it for this combo. Hopefully this is used in a lot of trades. Another thing you can do, one more thing you can do with this is if you see that your opponent is going for CS. So there's a minion that is low, and your opponent is going to last hit it. You can actually do this combo and then disengage, and that does many things at once. So first of all, if they see you running at them and they run away, they miss the minion. So that's a win for you. And if they go for the minion while you're running at them, you get a nice trade. They miss the minion because you stun them, and then you disengage, and that's a win as well. So it's a win-win situation when you're doing this against the right champion. They're going for minions, and you can deny your opponent a lot of CS this way. And there's relatively no risk doing this, because even if you mess up, you can EQ away. But it's important to practice the timing, making sure that you do this as fast as you possibly can, making sure you do this properly, and that way you can just abuse certain champions, and it's a lot. It makes Riven's time in lane a lot easier against certain matchups. But once again, thank you for watching.